Hello students, this tutorial video has been prepared on annual return in GST, that is GSTR 9. This tutorial video has been prepared specifically for the students of AITCS, although other persons who are interested in learning shall be benefited out of it. In this video, theoretical aspect about GST annual return has been described in a simple way. For practical aspect regarding filing of GST annual return, that is GSTR 9, that shall be done in class. So students, let us start the video session. In this tutorial video, what we shall learn? First, what is GSTR 9? Who is required to file GSTR 9? How aggregate turnover is calculated? This is the very important. You have to learn how this is calculated, because calculation of aggregate turnover is not important here, but also it shall be required everywhere in GST matters. What is the precondition for filing of GSTR 9? What is the due date for filing of GSTR 9? Can GSTR 9 be revised? What is the late fees for filing of GSTR 9? So one by one we shall discuss all the contents which are provided here. Now comes to the first, what is GSTR 9? GSTR 9, which is also called annual return, is a consolidated return where annual total amount of all supplies and other particulars which has been provided in GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 are reported. So students, we all know that the filing of GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B is different for different type of taxpayers. For QRMP taxpayers, GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 are on quarterly basis. For regular taxpayers, it is on monthly basis. But government wants a return where the consolidated figure shall appear at a place. That means it should not be in scattered manner, monthly or quarterly. That is why GSTR 9 has been introduced. In this annual return, the figures which are appearing in GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 are aggregated, consolidated, and that consolidated figures are appeared in GSTR 9. So GSTR 9 is an annual return where consolidated figures as given in GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 are reported on annual basis. Next is, who is required to file GSTR 9? This is an important question because government has not made GSTR 9 mandatory for all. For some taxpayers, this annual return is mandatory, and for others, it is optional. So let us see for whom this return is mandatory. The eligibility criteria for filing of GSTR 9 changes depending upon the notification issued by the CBIC, means Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Custom. At present, that is for financial year 22-23, registered persons whose aggregate total turnover is more than rupees 2 crores are liable to file GSTR 9 compulsorily, and for others it is optional. So students, this eligibility condition changes and intimated by the CBIC through notification. For the financial year 2021 and 22, which has just passed, 31st December 2022 was the last date. And similarly in financial year, which is going to be end on 31st March 2023, the eligibility conditions are same as it was for the financial year 2021 and 22. Till date, there is no new notification which is regarding changes of eligibility conditions. If there is any change, that should be intimated on time, but till date you should keep in mind that if aggregate turnover is above rupees 2 crores, then GSTR 9 is compulsory, otherwise it is optional. Optional means filing of GSTR 9 depends upon the wishes of taxpayer. He or she should file or should not file. There is no compulsion at all. In this criteria, one condition is very important, that is aggregate total turnover. So we have to know and understand what is the meaning of aggregate total turnover and how aggregate turnover is computed, because the filing of GSTR 9 totally depends upon the aggregate turnover. So in next slide, let us see how the aggregate total turnover is calculated. In this slide, we shall learn how aggregate turnover is calculated. As per the section 2, subsection 6 of the CGST Act 2017, aggregate turnover is calculated as below. So, students, the definition of aggregate turnover is given under section 2, subsection 6 of the CGST Act. As per the definition, the following table has been prepared for the simple and better understanding how aggregate turnover is calculated. So here we can see total value including tax, means including CGST, SGST, IGST, cess of all outward taxable supplies. In this case, whatever outward taxable supplies has been made including tax, that should be taken into account for calculation of aggregate turnover. But remember here, reverse charge mechanism is not regarded as outward taxable supply, so that should not be considered. For example, total value of all outward taxable supplies is 75 lakh for a registered person under GST. Now add total value all exempted outward supplies. Means if the taxpayer has made any exempted outward supplies, that should be added. Again, total value of export of goods or services including tax if any. If the registered person has made any export of goods or services, if IGST has been repeated, then that should be taken into account. For example, it is 65 lakh. Now, this is very important. Total value of all outward taxable supplies, excluding RCM, exempted supplies, export of goods and services of other GSTIN having same PAN, including tax wherever applicable. It means if the business has any other branches or head office in India and the GST number is although separate but based on the same PAN, then the total value of all outward taxable supplies, total value of exempted supplies, total value of exports of goods and services of that branch should also be included in the calculation of aggregate turnover. Suppose it is 98 lakh. Then by adding these figures, the amount comes to 2 crore 93 lakh. Now, from that calculation, total amount of central tax, state tax, union territory tax, and integrated tax should be deducted. Why? Because in earlier slide, it is said that this value will be including tax. That means in this figure, CGST, SGST is already included. But we know only the taxable value. That is why at last total amount of central tax, state tax is deducted. After deduction, what is left is the aggregate turnover of that section. In this example, the aggregate turnover is 2 crore 48 lakh. So, if we take this example and if we need to decide whether GSTR 9 is applicable in this case or not, so we can say that as aggregate turnover of the company calculated on whole India basis is more than rupees 2 crore, then all branches and head office must have to file GSTR 9, even any one branch has nil turnover. Students, therefore you should remember, suppose a company has head office in Kolkata and a branch office in Mumbai. The head office turnover is 2 crore 50 lakh and the branch office turnover is nil. As the aggregate turnover is more than rupees 2 crore, so both the companies should have to file GSTR 9. Even the Mumbai branch has nil turnover. So hope that you have understand this. It means that if the threshold limit for filing GSTR 9, that is rupees 2 crore, is applicable to any one company or any one branch, then whole group of that which has GST number on the same PAN is liable to file GSTR 9, even among them if sub branches or head office has nil turnover or turnover below rupees 2 crore. So students, let us move to the next slide. What is the precondition for filing of GSTR 9? Here GSTR 9 has preconditions, means if you do not satisfy that condition, you cannot, you means registered taxpayer cannot file GSTR 9. So here GSTR 9 can be filed only when all pending returns for the financial year have been filed. That means taxpayer should not be a return defaulter. It means if any taxpayer has not filed GSTR 1 or has not filed GSTR 3B for the financial year, then he is a return defaulter and he should not be allowed to file GSTR 9. For filing of GSTR 9, first he have to regularize his return, then he can file GSTR 9. Next is, what is the due date of filing GSTR 9? GSTR 9 must be filed on or before 31st December after end of financial year. So this is the original due date for filing of GSTR 9. If it is not extended by the government, then filing of GSTR 9 due date falls on 31st December every year, and it is after the end of financial year. For example, for the financial year 2021 and 22, which ends on 31st March 2022, the last date will be 31st December 2022. And in this way, the last date is derived. Next is, can GSTR 9 be revised? No. GSTR 9 once filed cannot be revised. We know that in GST, not only GSTR 9, any return once filed cannot be revised. But in case of GSTR 1 or GSTR 3B, although it is not allowed to be revised, but it is allowed to be amended in next tax period. But that facility is not also available. It's not available in case of GSTR 9. GSTR 9 once filed can neither be revised nor amended. So be careful while filing GSTR 9. What is the late fees for filing of GSTR 9? Here, if any taxpayer fails to file GSTR 9 within the statutory due date, that is 31st December, then late fees shall be applicable, and that is rupees 200 per day of default, subject to maximum 0.50% of turnover in state. Means there is a two condition. One is 200, among them CGST 100, SGST 100. Rupees 200 per day of default. The default period is multiplied by 200. Suppose that the return is delayed by 5 days. Then 5 days into 200 means 1000, and maximum is 0.50% of turnover in the state. Whatever the turnover in the state, here aggregate turnover will not be considered, means the turnover of the branches and head office existed in other states shall not be considered. In the particular state where the GST number is exist, that turnover is to be considered, and that will be multiplied by 50%. So whatever is the lower, rupees 200 per day of default or 0.50% of the turnover in state, whichever is lower, that will be late fees. One thing here I want to make clear, filing of GSTR 9 is GST-IN based. Means if any taxpayer has two GST number even in the same state, then he shall to file GSTR 9 separately. Means that entities will be treated as separate legal person. Now, practical aspect of the GSTR 9. How GSTR 9 is to be filed? What are the tables in GSTR 9? How it shall be done? The practical aspect will be discussed in the class when we shall learn it. So we hope that we have gained sufficient theoretical knowledge and legal knowledge about the GSTR 9. If anyone has any comment, he should write in the comment box or ask in the class. We shall try to clarify it. Thanks for watching.